Can apply for
Have problems breathing? Do you use albuterol or other respiratory medications? If so, Medicare may cover a more effective liquid breathing medication. Call Star Medical at 1-800-530-0843. Call today to see if you qualify at 1-800-530-0843. Call now.
I am Voltazoid. I will destroy you with my plasma ray.
You are wrong, Zoid. Your ray is no match for Lord Gorlock.
Excuse me. Did you know that Geico settles many car insurance claims in 48 hours or less?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Impressive, Green One.
Before Freestyle, blood glucose testing was barbaric. It hurt worse than my insulin shots. I saw Freestyle. I said, this is unbelievable. So we go and we buy it. I test my arm and, okay, where's the pain? So now when I test with Freestyle, most of the time I don't even feel it. I just don't know what I would do without it.
Freestyle. It will change the way you feel about testing.
Tomorrow, brace yourself for storm stories. A race against time.
We need to get the mother and the child in the basket now.
As a river rages out of control.
The river was washing away the house.
Plus, it's been called the storm of the century.
There's no normal storm.
Do you see how this superstorm devastates 800 miles from Florida to Maine? Watch a new series from the Weather Channel. Storm Stories. Tomorrow at 8 Eastern.
Now, from the Weather Channel, here's your local forecast, always on the 8s of every hour.
You're spending your President's Day's holiday brushing away yet more new snow in Philadelphia.
While in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, you're dealing with the icy sting of this President's Day storm.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Bob Stokes.
And I'm Dennis Smith. We're in alert mode here at the Weather Channel as New York and Boston face the heavy snow of the big storm. It also made an impact in Washington, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. And it's not over with yet. Before it's all said and done, we're anticipating snow and sleet accumulating anywhere from 16 to 26 inches in Washington, D.C. Philadelphia, you'll end up with somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 24 inches. New York City, wind-driven snow up to 2 feet. and it's snowing heavily around the Boston area now, and it won't be over with until Tuesday morning. You'll see over a foot of snow there. The impact on this storm being felt throughout the Northeast. Here with details is Bob.
Oh yes, it's being impacted in a big way. The Northeast, it has its eyes set on Boston. We'll have details, but let's take a review. Tara, Alta, West Virginia, 40 inches of snow over 3 feet. Some new information in about Garrett County, Maryland. In the extreme western part of Maryland, 49 inches of snow. In Baltimore, 23.4 inches. Washington, 15.5 more in other areas of Washington. Snow still coming down in New York City and Boston. We've got a winter storm warning in effect for Boston. Snow coming down heavily at Nantucket. Fitchburg reporting some heavy snow. Chatham some heavy snow. How much snow could we receive in Boston? We turn to our winter weather expert, Paul Cosin. Paul, this has been a busy past 2 to 3 days for you. You covered Washington, New York, and now Boston. What lies ahead for Boston?
Boston's in a lot of trouble. The snow came in basically like a wall. It started at 5 minutes past the previous hour. Within a half an hour, it was already coming down at probably close to an inch an hour. Visibility down to a quarter of a mile. We're going to see that snow continue through the afternoon, going to accumulate generally between 12 and 24 inches. Right now is a good guess. We've already seen the snow coming down very hard to Providence and Rhode Island. And just some of the new reports coming in, even in New York City, we're seeing snowfall accumulations at Kennedy Airport now up to 20 inches, 14 inches at Central Park, 16 inches at Newark Airport. That's a daily record at Central Park today, breaks a long-standing record dating back to 1902. Bob?
Well, you know, all the meteorological elements had to come together to create this historic record-breaking snowstorm. What were those weather elements, Paul?
Well, one of the elements was an extremely strong Arctic high-pressure system that provided exceptionally cold air. Yesterday was a remarkably cold day, and the second component was a series of very surprisingly not deep low-pressure systems that came together as one weakly developing storm now, but it's still interacting with the high-pressure system, so we're getting that influx of tremendous moisture from the Atlantic, from the tropics, all converging at once. And the slow-moving storm system moving up towards the northeast with that high is combining to produce very heavy snows and high winds, despite the fact that the storm is not very intense. Sometimes we see a storm that really drops below 29 inches of mercury. This one's down about 29.7 or something like that. Very weak, but with that high, we have a tremendous amount of moisture. That's where the storm really is doing its damage. Bob?
Winter weather expert Paul Cosin joining us with his expert analysis. Thanks so much, Paul. And he'll keep us on top of things as this day unfolds. New York City, the seasonal average in terms of snowfall, just shy of 16 inches, but we've already shattered that. This snowfall alone has been shattering it, 25.5 this season. Of course, much of that coming with this present storm, and it's still affecting New York City. Winds blowing between 20 and 25, blizzard conditions. Blizzards in the New York City area and also snows, but the snow's not as intense. Blizzard warnings have been in effect, and winter storm warnings for Boston, where, as you heard Paul, a foot or more of snow, 26 now in Boston, so plenty cold for that snow to be around, create travel problems. Even going into this evening, snows, and it'll be going strong, that snow in Boston, and still around the New York City area, some snow with this nor'easter driving those northeasterly winds, creating coastal flooding problems in the Boston area, a high of 30 on your Tuesday. In the south, how about that freezing rain? Here's Dennis.
We've had problems with freezing rain in parts of the southeast. In fact, too much rain. In Knox County, Tennessee, near Knoxville, mud sank part of an apartment complex. Mudslide was touched off by over 7 inches of rain. One man had to be pulled from the damaged building. He's been hospitalized and still in serious condition. Residents of 47 other apartments have sought shelter in a nearby high school. As we focus in on the southeast, it looks like the ice is pretty well over with. A lot of cloud cover to get rid of, though. It's still around. We have a few sprinkles still going on in central Georgia, around the Macon area, all the way over to around Augusta. It is very light, continues to move on off towards the northeast. In fact, much of the freezing rain episode that we had across North Carolina is pretty well over with. A little bit of freezing drizzle still remains, so be extra careful in that area. Now all that's left is this cold dome of high pressure settling in behind it. We're talking about 33 in Little Rock, still shy of the freezing mark in Raleigh at 28, but mild thunderstorms this afternoon in Miami, 76. Bob?
Well, in the Midwest, we've got a check of some snows across Cleveland, snowing lightly, 28 degrees, but that light snow can add up. We could see 2 to 4 inches by tonight, but looking better across Chicago and Milwaukee. The snow's only reaching as far west as eastern Indiana, but again, a few inches in the northern part of Ohio with snows across Lake Erie, which has been frozen. Snows in Toledo, 25 in Detroit, 20 in Indianapolis, but we're heading toward a warm-up across the plains this evening going into tomorrow. Look at that, 43 in Omaha. Dennis?
Coming up, we'll have the latest on the way of this President's Day storm and how it will affect travel. We'll have the latest on what the airport situation is. We'll also show you where ice is interfering with your driving plans on this holiday Monday. All coming up after your local on the 8th.
Think all mortgage lenders are the same? Think again. At Ditech.com, there are 2 fast and easy ways to apply for a home loan 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can pick up the telephone and call our toll-free number or apply